Hi there folks, and a very warm welcome to another edition of the Lifeblood of Racing concerning issues of a topical nature to do with the development and the growth of the sport. And my great pleasure to welcome to the studio this evening the Chief Executive Officer of Bloodstock South Africa, Kevin Woolward. Great to have you back in the studio at such an exciting time for South African horse racing and for Bloodstock South Africa.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andy. It certainly is exciting. And our Suncoast KZN Yearling sale, I think, is quite unique in that I think it probably is the only sale in the world that it takes place on a beachfront within a couple of meters of the ocean. It's something special.
I was having a chat to Louise Howell yesterday, who's actually no relation to Duncan Howells, the trainer of one of the KwaZulu-Natal Suncoast graduates, same jurisdiction. And we were reflecting back on the history of that beachfront and the fact that Sea Cottage was trained there at Newmarket, just a couple of 100 meters down the road. And after having seen the gallops yesterday, I must admit I felt that I was enveloped by this whole Vodacom Durban July fever, which of course really is the reason for holding the sale and to replenish the stock for trainers and breeders.
Yes, I think that whole vibe, as you say, gets everybody excited, and they come to the sale, and especially if they've got runners on the big day, you know, they tend to perhaps spend a bit more than they would like to, but it certainly adds to the flavour of our sale, and I think it's one of the best attended sales we have on our calendar.
Well, there's certainly a lot of value to be had, and I understand that this year you had a very difficult and very heavy-hearted type of task to eliminate horses that were nominated for the sale, which is probably the first time that that's ever happened.
Yeah, it is. We actually had 363 horses, and we had to reduce it to 262. So almost a third of our entries we had to eliminate. What we have done, though, is breeders who've wanted to have put horses, yearlings, on the Eldora mare sale on Monday, which will also qualify for the KZN Million race on July Day in 2016. But our selection panel certainly had a difficult time in eliminating horses, and I think it's resulted in one of our strongest ever catalogues for this particular sale.
Incredibly represented, both from a stallion perspective and indeed from a stud perspective, from far and wide corners of this country.
Yeah, we've got 36 breeders who've put horses on the sales, and we've got Fort Woods, Black Minnalucias, Dynasties. Yeah, we've got our top stallions who represented here.
Well, on the subject of top stallions, not least of all Black Minnalush, it brings me to the story of Louis the King, very sadly sidelined from this year's Vodacom Durban July, but I was in his stable the day before the gallops, and he's making a speedy recovery. Not that he'll ever race again, but obviously there's plans afoot to syndicate him. He became the darling of the South African turf, becoming only the second Triple Crown winner, and we know how long that's taken in America. But he really is, he's a people's horse. He won the Triple Crown, he won the Sansui Summer Cup, and I think you can tell us the story about how he was sold, to whom he was sold, and the fact that a horse doesn't know its price.
Yeah, well, he was passed through in the ring unsold, and Jeff Woodruff met Philip Kahan in the car park, and they decided on the price, and he bought him for 55,000 Rand. And you know, a horse doesn't know its price, so a 55,000 Rand horse ended up winning the Triple Crown, the second horse behind the Great Horse Chestnut, and of course winning the Sansui Summer Cup, the Grade 1 Sansui Summer Cup. So a magnificent achievement. And of course Louis the King is obviously our most successful graduate of the Suncoast KZN Yearling sale.
Well, another filly that has really done her owners proud. In fact, so much so that the original owner, Ian van Skalkwyk, was made an offer that he couldn't understand, he couldn't refuse, none other than Gaynor Rupert's Drakenstein stud, and they have acquired a majority shareholding in the same jurisdiction. And she was so courageous with Kevin Shea in the shadow of the post to get up and beat Carry On Katie in that well-documented race at Greyville this time last year.
Yeah, no, she's done magnificently well, and I mean, she's one of the top fillies of, I think, a very talented crop of 3-year-old fillies. You know, any other generation, she would have been the top filly of the lot. But this crop of 3-year-old fillies looks exceptionally talented.
And lovely to see Mambo in Seattle coming through, because he's a horse that has the most unbelievable pedigree. He's a big, strong, strapping horse, and I believe that there's a serious Group 1 winner coming very, very soon.
Yeah, I think so, and I'm sure Benny van der Merwe and Chris Gerber will be very relieved that they've got such a highly talented horse coming from Mambo in Seattle.
Well, of course, they've got Marchfield as well, and I mean, they've really put so much money. They have invested a life fortune into Matonzhoek. It's not an easy place to get to, but once you're there, you feel that you're pretty close to heaven. I don't know if you've been there.
No, I haven't, but yeah, I believe it is a magnificent place.
Well, let's look at some of the other graduates, including Seal, who's a very, very talented and versatile son of Silvano. Goat, of course, was with Paul Lafferty. She was very unfashionably bred, but my goodness, she had a heart the size of her small little body. And, you know, there have been lots of others very exciting prospects, but is there anything that's really caught your imagination in terms of possible top price candidates this year?
Okay, well, the very closely related filly, lot 259 West to Horse Chestnut comes to mind. You know, I'm a pedigree man. I'm not really much good on conformation, so going by pedigrees, that's one that really
yeah, no, that's a
captures my
very
imagination.
interesting one, Kevin, because she's out of a mare called To Go West, who's a daughter of West Wall, who's a daughter of London Wall. It's the family of Iron Curtain, Cape Badger, Moniela, Mr. Brock. He ran in the Dubai World Cup. Roman Wall. It's a absolutely fantastic pedigree, and I'm sure Guy Murdoch, of being the breeder of the former Vodacom Durban July favourite, Futura, will be a very, very popular man if this gets to 1.5 million and breaks the record set back in 2012.
2012, yeah, I think he would be. But yeah, that's my one favourite. And the other one that I like is lot 143, which is a Cahal colt out of the Mystic Spring mare line. That's also a very nicely bred filly.
Yeah, Cahal, of course, has been the stalwart of KwaZulu-Natal breeding. Sadly, we lost him last year, but this is an absolutely phenomenal pedigree, and Bushel Stud renowned for producing very solid, reliable, and value for money type horses.
Yes, yeah, so definitely, and I think this is another one of them.
Kevin, so much to talk about, but let's take an opportunity to go down to KwaZulu-Natal now and catch up with Louise Howell. She's the marketing manager of Suncoast, and a very, very affable and knowledgeable lady with regard to bloodstock. Not that I had any idea that that was the case, but Louise Howell tells us about why Suncoast have got involved with this incredible KwaZulu-Natal yearling sale.
Well, it's been held here at Suncoast for the last 5 years, and I think we were exceptionally chuffed to have it brought here to Suncoast, where it adds that iconic flavour to Durban. And you know, Suncoast plays an important role in just rejuvenating and reigniting Durbanites and their passion for the hometown Durban. And having 200, 300 horses, you know, thoroughbred horses, gallivanting up and down this Golden Mile promenade along our beachfront, it really just makes people stop and stare and take it all in, and it feels like you're in Miami or this out-of-world experience. So it really heightens the position of Suncoast on the Durban calendar and on the national tourism calendar.
Well, for me, the most important thing is to appeal to a specific market, and I think Durban owes a huge debt of gratitude to the Indian population. They're mad about horses, they're mad about gambling, they're very hard workers, they're very creative people financially, and they're obviously huge patrons of your organisation.
Yes, and I think, you know, the Durban Indian culture, I just think the Durban culture as a whole loves thrills and excitements and adrenaline, and whether it's on our gaming floor, whether it's at the Yearling sale auction, there's thrills to be had at Suncoast.
You know, you quite often find that life is about cycles, and KwaZulu-Natal was once the stronghold and the last bastion of huge breeding enterprise, and it's somewhat shifted towards the Cape as a result of foreign investment. But we have had the champion breeder of South Africa for 10 seasons in Summerhill. They've now relinquished their title to Clava Flay, but there's enormous representation across the board at the sale this year.
Yes, and I think, judging on the sales of over the last 5 years at Suncoast, 98% of the horses that were here last year were sold, and so far 20 bidders have already registered themselves for this year's sale, some coming as far away from Hong Kong, registering themselves for this year's auction.
Well, I'm going to take a fly and guess that it might well be Peter Gibson that's initiated that, because he's very mindful of the fact that foreign currency is important, and to have the South African thoroughbred out there is so important for the breed and as a whole.
I think I'm hoping that this year we'll see the record broken. I think it was 2012, there was a horse that went for 1.1 million, and we're all about records and breaking them at Suncoast, so I'm hoping to see that record broken this year too.
Well, the most amazing thing about a racehorse is that it doesn't know its price. And, we've recently said goodbye, so to speak, from the race track to a horse called Louis the King, who is a graduate of the sale, and he was just one of South Africa's iconic heroes.
Yes, I mean, everyone will remember Louis the King, and so fortunately or unfortunately, I guess, depending on which way you look at it, that he's now out of the running, so to speak, and going to stud.
Well, 55,000 Rand is what they paid for him. In fact, he was not sold. The deal was done here in your car park between Philip Cohan and Jeff Woodruff. And he gave us a Triple Crown winner, Sansu Summer Cup winner, and he was the darling of the turf. So hopefully there'll be another one of those lurking around this year.
And I think that's the thrill. So you're looking for the bargain, but also trying to outbid the competition.
You couldn't be better situated as far as the Gravel Racecourse is concerned. I mean, Durban really is a no-brainer if it were to come to the Olympics, everything being on a lovely level playing field, and obviously that would be an attractive aspect for people who are coming down for the Vodacom Durban July.
Definitely. I mean, Suncoast, we're fortunate in that our location, we really are in the thick of things, so to speak. You've got Moses Mabhida Stadium, and that has a whole host of activities that you can enjoy. If you're coming down for the weekend, the big rush, the swing there, also for your adrenaline junkies and thrills. You've got the ICC down the road, you've got the Ushaka theme park. It's just in the thick of things. So whether you're coming down for the races, or you're coming down with your family, there really is something for everyone to do.
I know that legislation prevents people from driving on the beach these days with good reason, but what's the legislation with regard to horses on the beach?
Well, I actually don't know what the legislation is, but I know that for our photo shoots and for our marketing purposes, we're quite happy to take the horses there, and I've certainly seen the policemen with their horses up and down, and I mean, even they get the heads turning.
Well, when you come to think of it, if you look at the archives of the great SABC programs in black and white, the horses used to work just along the way here at Newmarket. I mean, they used to work on the beach. It would be a lovely innovation to...
It would be as part of our holiday activity lineup to include horses. Yes, lovely.
But in a nutshell, the relationship between horse racing and other forms of leisure, however you want to look at the casino, we've learned a lot from your hospitality angles, from your value-added system, from your rewards programs, and that's obviously a road that's very well trodden from your perspective.
Yeah, I think it's important. People don't have that much disposable income as they maybe used to have in the past, and we're very well aware of that. And so it's really about giving value back to our guests, and whether that's tangible or intangible through the experience that they're receiving, or through the guest service, the standard of service that they're receiving, or it's through the tangible benefits of rewards, discounts, value adds, and so forth. It really is about how can we give them something more that will keep them coming back time and time again.
The South African Film Festival is held here in KwaZulu-Natal, and Racing for Once has got a flagship in Samanga Kamala, Bling as he's known, the champion jockey for last season, and the launch of his movie takes place at the Durban Film Festival, which is held here at Suncoast.
Yes, yeah. Every year the premiere of the Durban International Film Festival is held at Suncoast, and its timing is quite appropriate. That is the movie that's going to be aired and is the premiere of the film festival in our cinema centres downstairs.
So will you guys be backing Samanga Kamala in this year's Vodacom Durban July, or how do you actually pick a winner?
I think that would be giving away the inside secrets of Suncoast by telling. But yes, I think we're quite patriotic in that sense, that there certainly will be a healthy dose of support behind them.